All right, we are back with another episode of the Wrasslin Wroundtable podcast. I'm Ryan Hall with Dominique LaRue, and before we dig into the news and the happenings this week, Dom, first of all, belated happy birthday, my friend. And I know that you celebrated your birthday by doing something incredibly cool with a wrestling hero of yours.
We did. Um, Thank you for that. Yeah, my birthday was last Wednesday, and I got the honor and privilege of attending a show. 40 years of I think it what was it called 40 years of kindness, but I got to see Mick Foley, the great Mick Foley, in all his glory. He came out in his sweatpants and fanny pack and his bright colors, and he got to tell us some stories about his career, and it was very cool to get that opportunity to see someone that you literally grew up watching on TV, and like to be that close to someone and like listening to them talk. It was like sitting in talking to your dad or granddad or just someone of like um I wouldn't say like, idolize, but just someone you like wanted to be when you was a kid. And I mean, this guy rubbed shoulders with greats and like literally have, like he said in the show, like it's just amazing to him that like he has so many um who's who in his phone that he can talk to and text and call or whatever. And it was just it was a blast. And I just recommend everybody who's listening to the pod, if you ever get an opportunity to see one of his shows, like go, because as a wrestling fan, you should definitely go. But as a person that is not into wrestling, you should go with the person that loves wrestling because it's a joy to the both of you. Like he tries to make the show enjoyable for non wrestling fans and wrestling fans.
Yeah, I love that first of all because is like we've spoken about before. Um, on this podcast, we definitely like to talk about the human side of the business, talk about the men and women who are putting their lives, putting their bodies on the line on Monday night, on Friday night, on Wednesday night, on Saturdays or Sundays for our entertainment. And to know that, and to be able to kind of be in the same orbit as somebody who has put his life, his livelihood on the line as deep as deeply as Mick Foley has in his life, and just to hear him just kind of tell stories and riff on things for for the time that he was up on that stage must have been a really cool experience. It's like I was telling you, I went to a similar show probably about 9, 10 years ago, maybe with Jim Ross, where he just came out on stage, no notes, no nothing, and just told stories for an hour. Talked about Andre the Giant, talked about Ric Flair, and just having, just telling some incredible stories. And I kind of got a similar vibe from what you told me about the Mick Foley show.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was definitely a vibe for sure. Like, um, it was he he came out and it was like he was looking up like upstairs, but it was nobody upstairs, and he was like, "Oh wow, the crowd is kind of slim to when I came around 2018, which he said it was like 100 or something people around that time, but the event that I went to, I think roughly it was like maybe 30 to 40. But he said he loved that because it was more scary to perform in front of a small crowd than a large crowd. You know, it's more intimate. It's more. You know, it's not a lot of eye. It's not a lot of eyes looking at you versus like just a few handful of people. And like the Q&A was better because you know he could like he's not swamped with a whole bunch of people trying to ask questions. It's just like a few couple here and there. I got a question in. I wanted to get more in, but I had got like one question to him, and he also on the aspect of what you said about like how we like to talk about the human aspect of it all. Uh, he gave a great analogy about life, and it really put perspective. It really put things in perspective about like how you want to proceed your life. And he said, you know, it's crazy because it's a baseball analogy, but being in the South, we all about football. So he was like, it's crazy that I'm trying to give a baseball analogy in a football town. But he basically said, like, I live my life trying to swing for the fences, like trying to hit home runs because, nobody goes to a baseball game want to see singles. We all want to see the big, grand slam or a home run. But, you have to kind of like hit a couple singles here and there to get going. And then eventually the big ones will start coming. So you never want to just play it safe and hit a couple singles. You always want to like hit a home run. So like that's why I I love the fact that you and I started this pod because like this is something we love. Like we love talking about wrestling. We love watching wrestling. Like we grew up watching this and he he said this fake sport. He said and but even though it's a fake sport, everything about it is absolutely real. So and I just love the fact that I got to meet somebody that is a Hall of Famer first and foremost, but like he was more human than I could have ever imagined, and that what made it amazing to me because it was like talking. It was like my uncle talking to me about um his amazing life, basically.
Yeah, just I think what comes up for me is as you're saying that is just being able to sit down with somebody who you admire, who you have followed for a long time, and just listen to them tell stories about your life, or like maybe sitting down with a war veteran, like somebody who might have fought in Vietnam or something like that. Let them tell stories about their lives, or somebody who might have, done some shady stuff and got away with it. Tell the stories about your life. And I think that just knowing what that man put his body through and being able to, still be able to come out on the other side of it, and still be able to tell the stories about it, even though I imagine his memory is probably not that great because he got cracked in the head with the steel chair probably more times than he can count.
Mhm. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it was funny because like he it was like maybe I was in the second row, and then like it's a guardrail like right in between the stage and the front row, and he was talking to the front row, and he was like, I still have PTSD from like being anywhere high because I get the initial feeling of wanting to like take a 3 step, then do the bump. Like he always wanted to do the elbow. And he was just jokingly like, I'll do it right now. I'll take these 3 steps and then just elbow the lady right there in the front row. And she was like, I was like, don't do it, me. Don't do it. No, 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 no. We don't need you to take no more bumps. Like, do not take no more bumps. And
Yeah,
it yeah, it was, man. Like I look forward to the future of maybe seeing more um Hall of Famers like that. Like I would love to go see the Undertaker's one man band show. I can't remember.
absolutely.
And it's kind of funny that like Undertaker, I'm not Undertaker. Mankind was like, excuse me, Mick was like, I think I kind of expired Mark to start his own show from that infamous match. But it was definitely cool to like get to meet, like get to see him, and then not only do that, but get to sit by him and like get an autograph. Like the pictures I had posted on our page, I got to
Exactly. Yeah.
sit and get autographs, and he even sung the Captain America theme song from back in the '70s. So that was pretty cool.
Uh, yeah, you probably ate that one right up, huh?
Oh man, I was like, I
Uh,
can't singing the song right now. Like I didn't even ask him to do that. I was just like sitting there and I just like, hey Mick, I just want to tell you like it's an honor and a privilege to be sitting here next to you right now. Like I've never met like any of my wrestlers that I grew up like idolizing. Like you are the first wrestler I got to meet like this close. So
yeah, yeah, and just to be able to shake his hand, tell him thank you, and get some things signed was, I'm sure, well worth the VIP ticket.
oh, it was well worth it. Like
Yeah,
I was so amped after leaving the opera house, and like I didn't want the night to end, to be honest with you. And to get him to sign two shirts, and not only two shirts, but one of the shirts that looks like looks like you got one of the shirts on.
I sure
Hey,
do.
yeah. So to get him to sign that particular shirt, it was a dream come true because I told him I was like, yeah, me and buddy of mine, we started a wrestling podcast, and he said the podcast's name. That blew my mind. He was like, oh, okay, Wrestling Roundtable, huh?
I
All
love
right.
that. I love that. I love that. Um, Speaking of that, if you follow us on our Facebook page, Wrasslin Roundtable, which I will link to that. You can see some of the pictures that Dom posted of the event, and it's certainly a cool event. And you mentioned you got two things autographed.
I do.
We're we're moving on up in our episode count here. This is episode 36, I believe. Um, we're sitting at a little over 50 followers on our Facebook page. Not quite to 20 subscribers on YouTube yet, but that's going to climb. Once we get to at least 100 followers on our Facebook page, we're going to give one of those autograph shirts away to a lucky listener.
Yeah. So
But
anybody who's listening, anybody who isn't listening, anybody who's listening, you needs to go out and encourage more people to listen.
tell a friend, tell your enemy, tell the guy tell the guy who makes your coffee. Follow the Facebook page, go subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a review, comment on one of our videos, and just maybe one of those autograph shirts could go to you. Stay tuned is all I'm going to say about that.
Just stay tuned. Like keep
Yeah.
rocking with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're moving onwards and upwards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like like what Seth Rollins said in on Raw before the infamous turn. I see big things coming in the horizon.
Well, you just teed that one up perfectly, didn't you? Big, big turn happened on Monday Night Raw this past Monday. It was a pre-recorded episode from, because they were still in Australia. Um, but there had been speculation that Seth Rollins was legit injured. And apparently he's legit injured, but I'm still skeptical based on how bad we got worked with that knee thing a few months ago.
Oh yes, sir.
Um, but um, Bron Breakker at the end of Monday Night Raw last week speared Seth Rollins out of his shoes. And I think you were watching it as it happens live. I was at work trying to deal with, trying to juggle stuff, but you were just blowing my phone up when that happened. And then I finally got to watch it. I'm like, yeah, for good reason. That was a hell of a segment.
Ah man, like I didn't. I took my daughter to school, so I had missed the intro to Raw. So I missed the promo that Seth had gave, and obviously, he went on about his rant about beating Seth. And, I mean, excuse me, beating Cody and being the quarterback number one, and blah 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 blah. But what was interesting about that promo was that the fact that he said, "I didn't need Division, I didn't need Braun, I didn't need, you know, Bronson Reed. I did it on my own. I've always done it on my own. I'm the greatest of all time. Blah blah blah." And if you haven't seen the promo, you need to go see it because and pay very close attention to Bron Breakker's face as he said, "I didn't need nobody." You could see the utter like disgust on his face when he said that.
Yeah, disgust. That's a very good word for it. Contempt.
Yeah, like he
Yeah, just
literally
the
felt like he wanted to do it then, but he waited. He waited till later on that night to
yeah.
shock the world, basically.
Yeah, no, it was it was one of those segments that if if we weren't dealing with the legitimate, supposedly legitimate injury from Seth Rollins, I'd say they pulled the trigger on that way too quickly. But I don't think, but I think that I think they could really use that to launch Braun to where we believe he's headed, which is the absolute freaking stratosphere. Um, but also, what does that do for Seth Rollins himself? Now, if he is on the shelf and we don't know how long he is going to be on the shelf, which is the kind of the one thing that I'm still a little skeptical about the back of my head. What does that mean when he gets back? Um, do you drop him immediately into a program with Bron Breakker? Do you bypass the program that I think that they were building with Roman Reigns? Or do you just let it sit there like a wet sock on a shower ride?
Well, the great thing about our show is, we have our theories and we have our assumptions. Um, this is going to be tough because it's kind of on the same. I say that same aspect of when Cody won the Royal Rumble, and yet, at that time there was a lot of mixed emotions as far as Cody winning the Royal Rumble and we wanting Rock versus Roman because that's what we thought was going to potentially happen. But with the overall um, love that the WWE universe had for Cody, um, we had to finish the story. Like it was no ifs, ands, or buts about Cody not finishing the story because how do you not have him finish the story at 40? Was it 40?
Yeah, it was 40.
Okay. And you turn around and he don't get his get back at 41. And then you just all of a sudden just The Rock shows up and you just give Cody spot to The Rock. That didn't make any sense. So you know, the thing we love the most about wrestling is physical. They do storytelling. But the most terrible thing about wrestling is the unpredictiveness of things because at one blink of an eye, case in point, Crown Jewel, an injury happens and
Hmm.
it pretty much tears up the entire storyline that you have written out. And I mean, these guys have stories written from what this month to all the way to February or all the way to WrestleMania, basically.
Yeah.
And one kink in the armor could just totally tear it up from the ground up. So, with that being said, and we've said this on this pod numerous times. We said that Braun was going to be, you know, he's got a rocket strapped to his back. I mean, teaming with Paul showed that, like, he's eventually going to be a main eventer. But then with the injury with Seth, I mean, that kind of sped up the process. It could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. It really just depends on what they do now with Braun. And I thought, in all seriousness, we thought that like, you have Seth continuing on leading the division, and you have them win all the belts, like the tag team belts, and he has the world title, and then like we have this thing where it's a evolution type storyline. You had Triple H with the world
Totally.
title. You had Rick and Batista with the tag team titles, and then you had Randy with the Intercontinental title, and they living good, living the high life. And then a few months later, stuff starts, you know, kind of cracking. But I mean, the injury cracked everything within one night. So
Which is, yeah.
now my
And
question
actually,
to you
what's that?
is, how do you feel about Becky maybe getting the services of one particular gentleman in excuse me, but I haven't seen him in so long. I can't remember his name, but the big tall gentleman that teamed with AJ Styles at one point in his career.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
And for some reason I want to say Obi Femi, but um the, the he came back in AAA when they had that battle royale.
Oh, almost.
Tomas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Becky had tweeted, it was just one night. She basically wasn't around when all that happened. But she tweeted that. And then Omos tweeted, I am in the service. Like I can be of service to you. And then she put the thinking emoji and replying to that. So could we see Becky get her get back for her man and kind of form her own type of Vision 2.0 to counteract with the Vision, or is it just a big blow of smoke up her butts?
I'm thinking this kind of feels like a smoke screen because the way that you say it, and I haven't seen those tweets, but the way that you're explaining it, I think it just like it doesn't seem
Makes
unless
sense.
they're trying, yeah, unless they're trying to do like like a I don't know, like a Diesel Shawn Michaels kind of kind of arrangement.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense to me.
To be honest, Ryan, with Seth getting injured, nothing makes any sense because, like,
Yeah,
obviously
facts.
Survivor Series is in November, and we still have well over a month away to form things together to prepare for War Games. But you got Roman barely on the show. You got Seth now hurt. You got Cody and Drew fighting for the title again. Uh,
For
you got Jay.
for the
Is he
420th time.
right? This is basically a, a carbon copy of Kevin Owens and Seth. I mean, not Seth. Excuse me. Kevin Owens
And
and Cody
Sammy.
again.
Yeah.
Um, you have. I mean, the to be honest, the closest thing to War Games that could potentially be happening in my eyes is MFT versus the Wyatt Six, just off of that factor. But obviously, it's not going to be those two going at it at War Games. I mean, you got to have your big stars, and quite frankly, all the big stars are either preoccupied in something else or hurt, or obligated to other projects. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, we were talking in our pre-production meeting, we were talking about if we remember if there was a time or when there was a time when the injury bug had hit WWE so bad, and like the most high profile time I think was that one WrestleMania where Triple H and Roman Reigns end up main eventing in a match that was just absolutely painfully boring.
and thinking about that and even saying that is crazy to even say because it's Triple H. Triple H is involved. Things get
Right.
interesting, but I think that was the start of Triple H's twilight years, where things
It
was kind
was.
of like
Yeah.
decreasing for him as far as in ring. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the most infamous match that pretty much I feel like he could put a pin on as one of the big ones on his way out of the ring is the Daniel Bryan storyline. That was by far probably one of the top tier storytelling uh segments that WWE has had pre Bloodline.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think there's a, I think there's a lot that they can go with, but we're about 5 weeks before summer. I'm doing it
Survivor Series
again. Survivor Series. Too many damn S's. Doing it again.
for SummerSlam. I don't know where it's gonna be at next year, but for some reason you are looking forward to it.
No, what I'm not looking forward to is for it to start getting cold here in
No,
late
I'm definitely
October.
not. Yeah, yeah. We definitely know that we're in the winter parts of the schedule because things are starting to die down a little bit as far as WWE and PLEs. Because
Yep.
I mean, pretty much once we get past Survivor Series, the month of December is nothing, and the one big event is going to be John Cena's retirement match, and that's on the Saturday night main event. That ain't even a PLE. That's just a show. So
Yeah, and I still think that they're gonna pull the wool over our eyes on that one. I No way in hell they retire somebody of that caliber on a Saturday night's main event. I can't see it.
John literally said that is his last match he's wrestling. Like he's not wrestling after that match.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Now he still be
Yeah,
involved with WWE, obviously, but that is his last match.
I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe, but Be that
I
as
hope
it may.
you are absolutely right. Like that's one of your predictions that I guarantee feel like I want you to be 1000% correct.
Right. Right. Because the way that I want that to go, the way that I want that to end is, you know, Cena's gonna lose his last match. I mean, he's old school. He's, you know, the
Yep.
old school guys go out on their backs on their last match.
Yep.
But he's walking down the aisle, shaking hands, looking all dejected, and then all of a sudden, if you smell, and then the lights go dark, and the final boss is standing there at the stage. You gotta give me something.
I mean, because like this is the Rock we're talking about, and like you have to justify this. I won't say necessarily screw ups, but you have to justify the L's that the final boss has taken this entire year. Like we can go down a list of things that didn't make sense the entire year the final boss was involved. I ain't even gonna say the names, but I just say the events.
Yeah.
Bad blood, right?
Yep.
WrestleMania. Uh, the opening of Netflix era.
That ridiculous interview that he did on Pat McAfee's show.
The ridiculous interview he did on Pat McAfee show. Like, I get the fact that we're in an era where kayfabe is not as just anymore, but in the purity and just like overall aura of wrestling, something's got to be kayfabe. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
We in the social media world, but to say it can't be done now is crazy because
Yeah.
Undertaker literally kayfabe for 30 plus years. We literally just found out that his name was Mark Calloway towards his American Badass persona.
Hmm.
And even then, we just knew he rode motorcycles.
Yeah. Liked Harleys, drinking beer,
Drinking
drinking.
beer, still
Yeah.
going down Death Valley and all this other stuff. But like he was still in that Undertaker realm of storytelling. Like sure he's more alive than he was a dead man, but I mean like he's still being called the dead man, the American badass. He comes out with the dong. Like it can be done. But you just have to
Absolutely.
stay your ASS off of social media.
You got to be committed to it.
You got to be committed to it. And you cannot be committed with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. There's not any kind of way. Like you can't be I'm the final boss one night, and then you be on Pat McAfee show the following day, and you going on a promotion spree, like you're promoting WWE, you're promoting your movie, you're promoting your liquor, you're promoting your clothing line, you're promoting your your body lotion and stuff like that. Like at some point, you have to cut one from the other. Like we get it, you're on the seat of TKO, but like they got other people that can do that while you are doing your own thing. So.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, speaking of speaking of good news, which that was a weak analogy, but go with me here. Our guy Ilya Dragunov finally came back, and he's now the U.S. champion.
My boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
man.
mean, I was hot and I was excited at the same time because obviously, I was mad because that's one of my predictions of, you know, ending John Cena's career.
Right.
But I was overly excited because I was like, oh, he's healthy and he's back, and oh my, he's fighting Sami Zayn for the U.S. title. And not only did he fight Sami, but he won the match. And I'm like, okay, so they took the title off of Sammy, which that was Sammy's call, by the way.
Hmm.
Kudos to him. Um, but to take the title off of Sammy, And obviously now we got a worldwide storytelling of who's who when it comes to him feuding with people, which I'm excited to see. But now what do you do with Sammy? Like, where do we go? I mean, obviously he's beefing with the MFT because Solo cost him the belt basically.
Right.
But I just Ryan, you know how I feel about these factions. Is too many factions going on and not enough of them breaking up. How many times have we said on this show, it is time to break up Judgment Day?
I think we've been saying that since maybe episode 2.
Yes. And then it's funny because I didn't remember the post that I sent you from Facebook, but wouldn't it be ironic that, and this is karma, this is all the way karma. Do you remember when Finn and Seth fought at your favorite PLE that you keep naming on the show for the past couple weeks now? They fought at SummerSlam for the Universal title, the inaugural Universal title at that.
Yep.
Seth did that god awful move that we hate, that buckle bomb outside on the barricade that tore Finn's shoulder to shred. And Finn won that match because he's a tough SOB. But he won that match to the following night had to vacate that Universal title because of a particular person. And then that particular person comes out smiling and grinning and ha ha ha, he. And years later, ain't it ironic that that particular person suffers a shoulder injury, tears his rotator cuff
Mm.
and whatever else, and then like he has to potentially vacate his title? Now, could this potentially be, which you know me, I've said this on the show early in the show,
Mhm.
like early in the episodes. Finn is a world champion. Like everything about Finn makes him a world champion. Like his personality, everything. Like if he goes back to being Finn, comes out with the slapping his thighs and also shout out to one of our fellow members of our wrestling group. She always every time he comes out, she always says Valor Arms.
Yep.
So Finn has everything about him to make him a world champion. Finn has not got that official run as a world champion. Like he was the next big thing. He was kind of like that start to the young talent that was coming from the indies, coming from other places that were making a name for himself. And I just think it's time. Excuse me. I just think it's time for a old but new face to be world champion. We got, we got LA Knight and we got Jay and we got CM Punk and now we got Braun and like I'm not I'm not against Braun getting the belt by no means. I just think it's too early with everything going on and you got so much stuff to clean up because right now it's just a big mess. And like it's a big mess because they keep not wanting to pull the trigger when they should pull the trigger. LA Knight should have been champion and lost a long time ago. CM Punk finally comes back and wins the belt just to lose it to Seth. Seth should have kept on that. Seth should have kept that money in the bank, probably till next year sometime. But he pulls off the ruse of the century, which wasn't much of a ruse to us because I mean we've basically been preaching on the show that we knew it was coming, which I understand why you have PTSD about this whole shoulder injury. I totally do.
Yeah.
But I've never seen so many reports like as much as we've gotten about him shredding his shoulder. And I think I could tell when he did it. It was basically when he did that headbutt from coast to coast. And I mean, yes, he landed the headbutt with Cody, but I think a drop kick is less more impactful than you going head to head, coast to coast, and landing directly on your shoulder. It was no like face first. It was more of like a kind of a like a torpedo kind of landing.
that that spot didn't need to happen.
It didn't. It was not even necessary.
It wasn't. I don't know why they agreed to do that spot because it just wasn't necessary. Um, it was still a solid match. It was still a good match,
Yeah.
but you didn't have to deal with that particular spot. I never understood. You know, I mean, as I'm watching, I'm like, what the hell was that? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this coast to coast headbutt thing when you really didn't need to do it?
Just
That's
like
not it, it wasn't in Seth's move set. It wasn't even in
no,
his move set.
no, like, and I'm shocked that Seth keeps these high risk maneuvers when obviously earlier on in your career you was doing them and that's fine, but like as you've gotten older and all these injuries that you've accumulated, it's time to like kind of change your move set because it's like obviously it does not need to happen because your body cannot keep up with these type of bumps. Like you've torn both your knees. You've
Yeah.
now messed up your shoulder. Your back is is gone. Really, I mean, you got the same back as Shawn Michaels, and look at
Yep.
how his body is now. So it's like as much as I love you doing those moves, it's exciting and this and that, but like a lot of wrestlers have like adjusted to their injuries. Like, Daniel Bryan, case in point, he switched up a lot of things he used to do and became very I mean, he was already technical, but he became even more technical because he suffered from a lot of concussions.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of another superstar that kind of like was more of aerial, but he stopped doing a lot of aerial things and became more of a ground based type wrestler. Uh Randy, Randy Orton. Obviously he still does the RKO, but he had to learn he don't do the RKO like he used to do the RKO. Like
Right.
with a lot of air, um, more of like he did it with like one arm. Now he does it with two, but it's kind of like in a way where when he lands, he can take a bump better on the mat than
Yeah, and he also looks like he tucks his knees a little bit more when
tucks
he
his knees.
takes
Yeah,
that bump.
yeah, to kind of like absorb the shock when he hits the mat.
Right,
So
because if you're doing that move night after night for 20 years, your back is going to be shredded.
yeah, so it's like, and then I want Cody to know this. Like I want him to know, like on this show, we love him. I love his character. I love everything about him. But how many times are you gonna keep doing that? God forsaken Cody Cutter. Like, please stop doing it. I know it's part of your move set, but you can find another move. I mean, at this point, take your brother's move. Put the guy in the corner, put his legs in the corner, like like a base, like
Hmm.
you finna set him up for a field goal kick and kick him in the groin. Like I'd rather you do something like that.
Right.
You keep doing that godforsaken Cody Cutter, uh, Cody Cutter, because like in my mind, this every time he does it, Ryan, every time he does it, I'm envisioning him slipping off that darn rope. I don't want it to happen. I know he does it, he takes his time and everything like that. But like at some point, man, you gotta switch it up. You gotta just stop doing that move because it's a high risk move. and the slightest effort, you'll go from quarterback one to water boy.
Yep.
So I just need him to just stop with that. And then I mean, this is another topic for another episode, but it's just the fact that all these move sets are basically the same.
Yeah.
When did the super kick become such a popular just move to do nowadays? When it
Yeah.
was a
When did the super kick become a transition move?
when did the spear become a transition move, or like just a general finish move that everybody does? I'm just like, only two people in the roster should be able to do that move. No offense to the Usos, but Bron Breakker and Roman Reigns. Them the only two. Nobody else should be
Couldn't
doing
agree.
that move.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Oh boy. Well, we're certainly, hopefully, we'll find out a lot more about what the plans are for SummerSlam as we move along here in the next couple of weeks. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but it's been something that's been kind of bugging me since I saw it.
You meant Survivor Series.
It's shut up. Yes, Survivor Series.
I had to help you out there, my brother.
Oh God. SS. Yeah. Yeah. If I call it shortstop next week, you'll know where my mind goes.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
um, but Survivor Series been something that's been kind of bugging me since I've seen video of it. AEW had a pay-per-view last night. I didn't watch a second of it because it was the third Saturday in October. Roll Tide. But there was one match that's making some news. Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I don't know the storylines because I rarely watch AEW. But they did a spot where they were trying to drown each other in a fish tank. Now, I think the kids nowadays are smarter than we were when we were kids. We might not have known how to do these moves, but you're gonna have some idiot kid trying to dunk his friend in a fish tank because they saw it on AEW. And the kid's gonna get seriously hurt or even drowned. It's irresponsible and it just doesn't make any sense. Renee Paquette went off on Jon Moxley. I know I sent you that video. She just lost it on Jon Moxley, and I don't blame her. That was a wife pissed off at her husband for taking unnecessary risks. There was nothing kayfabe about that.
And I totally understand why she feels that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But in the same breath, on the same show, you had Tony Khan comparing Jon Moxley to Harley Race. Harley Race was one of the legit toughest men to ever lace up a pair of boots. Jon Moxley may be crazy. It's not helping the business, it's not helping the matches, and it just look, I know AEW can be more violent than WWE. I get it. But make it make sense. Make it make storyline sense.
It's crazy that I see Mick Foley, and we all know what he went through in his career, and then the state of wrestling now is far more different than what it was when we was kids, and in the aspect of a which that match wasn't a death match, it was a I quit match, correct? I think it
Yeah,
was.
it was an I Quit match that ended on a submission, by the way. But go on.
So with that being said, and I know they was going to the extreme of trying to make each other say I quit. Um and I'm trying to collect my thoughts on this aspect because in Renee's defense, whether it was for real or not, which I think you and I both feel like it was for real, and a lot of people on social media felt like it was definitely real. This was a wife pleading to her husband that she understands that this is your livelihood. This is what you built your career off of. This is what you love to do. And she has
Mhm.
no objective to that. But in your stage in your life, where your age is at, you are well established as a performer. Um, everybody knows you, everybody loves you. Um, outside of that, the person that has to, clock out from that job, go home, be a husband, be a father. Um, you have to live after your job. So why would you sit there and put yourself through these god awful matches? I mean, like, it's no need to sit there. You literally fought Darby Allin in a coffin match weeks ago. Then you turn around and do an I quit match for what? Like, we said this on numerous times. We don't really watch AEW like that to really like give an in depth analogy about it. But I just I love John Moxley. Like I want him to come back as Dean Ambrose back at WWE. Um, obviously WWE is nowhere near what WWF was. They're very strict on certain moves. They're very strict on certain things they do within their company. They're very strict when it comes to head injuries and the whole CTE aspect of it all.
Right.
So when I watch WWE, I'm more appealing to that because they actually care about. I feel like they care about the person, their performers. You
Yeah.
know, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, whether we hate the product for our storytelling and what they do with their employees, they take their employees' livelihood very seriously. So, obviously, that's crazy for me to say because they had a Hell in a Cell with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and they were bleeding, but them
Right.
two work with each other, them two trust each other, them two, you know, like worked out all the kinks to where they do stuff extreme, but they don't do it to the extreme to where you could literally probably just die on TV. Not to say that Darby Allin and John Moxley don't work with each other, have a great relationship with each other. I truly understand and I truly feel like they do. But one saying that we love to say is make it make sense. None of that made sense. Like to
No,
the
it
point
didn't.
where like you needed to do all that because you could have had a simple couple chairs, couple tables, like you want to go a little bit more extreme. You could, you know, put some barbed wire on the table or something, but
Right.
why are we going to the extreme to literally put this man in a fish tank and literally like how in the hell he's going excuse me, excuse my French, but how in the hell he's going to sit there and say I quit when his head is in the water and could barely breathe. And like AEW wants to sit here and say, we got the best wrestlers in the world. This is where the competition comes. Blah 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 blah. I I get it. You want to sell your product, this, that, and the third, but like, I don't want to go to a place where I feel like I'm gonna get injured any night of the day.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not to say that you won't get injured doing it at WWE, but WWE seems like it's more safe than AEW is. And then it goes back to the conversation we had in pre-production, where you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Like, when does one person come in and, okay, I hear all this about what y'all want to do with the match, but no, like, just no. Like, that's too extreme. Like, when are we going to stop? Because, like I told you just before, AEW, you cannot tell where it stops. Like, you can watch it on a regular Wednesday night. Like, they don't stop
Yeah.
that for pay-per-views or whatever. Like, when you watch a PLE, it's different from a show on Raw or SmackDown. But when you watch a
Right.
regular show on Wednesday night, it's like watching a PLE for AEW.
You know, something that I have found out since I sent you that clip of Renee is that one of the producers on that match was Dean Malenko,
Oh God.
a guy who made a mint off of being one of the most technical wrestlers in the game. You're totally right. There's way too many cooks in that kitchen, and somebody needs to be a chef and just step in and say, enough, enough. We're not doing that. Because we thought it was bad enough when Moxley took a bump on that board full of nails.
Yeah, his skin was literally like peeling like with the nails. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it was gruesome.
That's not wrestling to me.
Like, okay, point, case in point, when Jay got her face busted open, right? That was an
Uh-huh.
accident, but it
Yes.
was in the midst of them, wrestling. It was something like you wasn't imagining that to happen. It just happened. But like, literally sitting there, and uh you got glass on the mat. You got fire burning on a stick. You got fish tanks full of piranhas and stuff like that. That is all an aspect of AEW. Like, where is the safety at? Where is somebody in that producer's room to be like, okay, that's a little too far. Like, I
Yeah.
know we
Yeah.
want to entertain the fans and all this other stuff, but when are we going to draw the line on entertaining fans and keeping our talent safe?
It
Because
just
where
blows
where's
it blows my mind. Yeah.
where's the warning? Because like, now, you remember back in the day was like, don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Where
These
is
are
that
trained
warning at for AEW?
professionals. Yeah.
Yeah, where is this warning at for AEW? Because I don't see it. I don't even think it's mentioned, to be honest. Like, hey,
I
y'all
don't
don't need
think
to
it is either.
try this. Don't try this at home. Don't do this stuff.
Yet a lot of people see ECW almost like as a cult, like a cult following.
Yeah,
And I see why. ECW had some incredible matches. I mean, if we don't forget, this is where guys like Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, even a lot of the Mexican guys, Dean Malenko, a lot of the Mexican, a lot of these guys, this is where they got their first national exposure in the United States. But what's the first thing a lot of people come to mind? The first thing that a lot of people think of when they think of AEW, when they think of ECW, they think of the violence, they think of the blood, they think of the barbed wire, they think of the fire. And to me, that's not the aspect of ECW that I used to enjoy to watch. Now, anytime they did those, like just the mere thought of that Terry Funk Sabu barbed wire match, I've never seen it, never want to see it, but just the thought of it makes my skin crawl
Mm.
because you know it just is it a preference? Is it a taste thing? Yeah, I'll gladly admit that. But my favorite match of the whole year so far, and you know this, was that unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And that match was violent as hell, but it was safe.
It was nowhere on the level of any AEW match, that's for sure.
Exactly.
But it's
Exactly.
I remember one match in particular that I could talk to a few buddies about, and they keep bringing up this match between which her name is Blake Monroe now on NXT, but it was
Right.
her and Tori Storm. Like,
Yep.
and I see. I mean, I didn't watch the match. I didn't know what was going on, but the fact that like people explained to me, like, "Yo, that was a great match." Like the build up to the match made the match great because they had a rivalry and like obviously it was a little extreme as far as like the glass being broken, they putting it on the fist and stuff, but it made sense within the storytelling of the match and the
Absolutely.
whole like story. But like the Darby Allin and John Moxley is just like a pissing contest of like how extreme can we go to make people uncomfortable, I guess. And like for Renee to even say what she said on that promo, it really brings you back to like these are human beings. Like at the end of the day, they playing
Yeah.
characters, but like when obviously we know Renee as wrestling fans and just people in AEW and just wrestling community. It's like, hey man, let's not forget who this guy is. John Moxley has a wife who literally works with him, and they have a daughter together. And like
Yeah.
this dude needs to chill out with these extreme matches. Like, what is the purpose of doing these matches if you are literally going to injure yourself to the point where you can't even pick your daughter up to hug her?
Let's not forget, Renee was in her official role as the host of the pre of their pre-show.
Yeah,
She was
the
in her
lead.
official, yeah, and she saw and she chose that moment in her official role to call out her own husband.
Mhm.
That I, I've always thought the world of Renee anyway, but but the mere fact that she took that moment to, to call him out like that was, I think, really indicative of just how ridiculous these, these spots are. It
Yeah,
doesn't make it it just doesn't it doesn't appeal to me. I mean, yes, I'm one guy, but it doesn't appeal to me. But I'm also the guy who grew up watching Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and Hulk Hogan on Saturday mornings, you know?
yeah, and excuse me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know if it's I Quit match because I know Samoa Joe and um, Hangman Hangman Page had a I Quit match, I believe, or something like that. But
Right.
their match wasn't as extreme as Darby Allin and John Moxley. And then like my thing is that really ticked me off is I even go back to thinking about like Sting's run, his last run in AEW, and like
Hmm.
these insane spots he would do. Like, granted, he's a Hall of Famer. He knows his body. He if you want to say longevity, you can put his face with that word. But the spots he was doing was like, you don't need to do this, Sting. Like, you're literally almost 70 years old. Why are you jumping?
You've got grandkids, Steve.
Yes, yes. You literally don't need to jump off of a ladder onto someone on a table. Like, what is the sense in this? And then on top of that, not only did you jump off the ladder, you barely made the table and you hit your jaw on the table. I remember that spot. And I'm just like, the legacy of Sting don't need to go out like this. Like,
No.
the image of you, Sting, in my eyes, as a kid growing up, and like, your longevity in your career, like, granted, AEW did a beautiful retirement match or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
but like, I never wanted Sting to go out at AEW.
No.
I would rather Sting, hey, went out with WWE. I'd rather Sting would have finished if WWE would have just bought TNA in time around the time Sting was still with WWE. He could have finished in TNA.
Completely. Completely.
And like, you know, I want to reiterate that me and my buddy Ryan here, we do not, we ain't gonna just completely poo-poo on AEW. It's a nice alternative to WWE
Yeah.
because at one point we was in a space where the stuff they was pushing out at WWE was total crap. Like, it was suffocating. It was to the point where like, you know, do we even want to continue watching this crap? But when AEW first debuted, it was like a jolt of energy. It was that rush and that excitement, and just basically, it brought nostalgia back to like the WCW and WWE wars back in the day, Monday
Yeah.
Night Wars. But like, obviously, AEW started getting WWE retire not retirement, but AEW started getting WWE's released superstars, and then the whole CM Punk aspect of it all, and just once again the too many chefs, not enough. I mean, yeah, too many chefs, not enough Indians. Chiefs, not enough. Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians aspect of it all took over. And I mean, I think Darby Allin even mentioned that they got the cancer out of the company. They got the egotistical superstars, as he said, out of the company. So the company is way better now than it once was. And I hear all that. I get that. But
Yeah.
it all falls back to the thing we just said. Like, who is it that is going to just stamp and like, hey, no, we're not doing it. You see the big difference in WWE, right? Whether we like Triple H or not, whether we agree with certain things he do or not, that man is the COO.
Hmm.
He's the say all be all. You throw something at him, he likes it, he works with you, cool, bet. If he doesn't like it, he gonna shut it down. Tony Khan, on the other hand, I believe that I can say, hey man, Tony, I got a great idea for a match. Me and Ryan are going go 20 minutes, nonstop. I'm gonna throw Ryan out there in the crowd on top of somebody. I'm gonna burn the table, right? Set it up right there by the barricade. I'm gonna slam him off of it, right? And then I'm gonna go get a ladder 6 feet in the air. I'm gonna wrap my body in like I'm gonna put baby oil on myself. Wrap myself with barbed wire. I'm gonna jump off of it. If I miss him, I miss him. If I land on a fan, then hey, that makes good TV. He'd be okay with it. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I could just
Yeah.
throw something against the wall. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it still sticks.
Exactly. Exactly. One note on that before we wrap up. Say what you will about Vince McMahon, and we could say plenty, including why he's trying to make his hair look like a skunk. Um,
Like, trying to look like a Batman villain.
exactly. Um, But if somebody were to come to him with a ridiculous idea like that, it shut him down. If he would have, that's one thing that that was one way that kept Vince Russo in check when he was, head of creative at WWE, is that if he would come to Vince with a stupid idea, Vince would say, "That's stupid, pal. Bring me back something else." You don't have any checks and balances in AEW. Tony Khan is too much of a mark for himself to just put his foot down and say, "No, we're not doing this."
And I'm glad you said it because, like, compare and contrast. Okay, think about when Vince McMahon was, you know, at the peak of his power, right? Obviously, he came out with some outrageous stories, but like most of them, in a sense, made sense. Obviously, he was the tyrant. He was the uh, egotistical, old, just like evil man, and yet he turned that into gold, right? He has this aura about himself where like I'm scared to even go into office and discuss what I want to do with my character, right? But you go to AEW, you think about Tony Khan. Tony Khan seems like he's a pushover. Tony Khan seems like you said, a mark. Where I think about all these promos that people have done and just totally poo-pooed on Tony Khan on live TV. One infamous promo was MJF's, yeah, MJF's promo,
MJS pipe bomb, absolutely.
and it made Tony Khan look weak. It made Tony Khan look like a. I mean, literally, you can look at Tony Khan. I'm no saint. I'm no person to talk about appearances, but obviously Tony Khan looks like who he should be. Somebody who has money, who owns the Jaguars and WWE. I mean AEW, and he looks like a wrestling fan that has a lot of money and started a promotion, but has no idea what in God green earth to do with promotion. That's why he surrounded himself with Chris Jericho and the Young Bucks, Cody, and guys that been in the business and has years in the business and knowledge in the business. Where you just so happen to have a whole bunch of money and you just want to start your own promotion. That's basically what you are. But Vince McMahon, like literally, has grew up in the business and like he was the main reason why WWE became a global phenomenon.
I like to think of it like this. It's like Elon Musk wanted to build rockets. He built rockets. Does he know a thing about rocket science? Nope. I would wager that he doesn't. But he hires people who do. And it's kind of the same thing with Tony Khan. I mean, so many people. I mean, some of the stuff that CM Punk said about that man probably, would probably get our podcast deplatformed. But he just absolutely ripped that man about 5 new holes. But I have a feeling he was right because Tony Khan was just a mark for himself, didn't have the guts to step up to Jack Perry and say, "No, we're not doing this. We're not putting you through real class. We're not doing this." Somebody has to be able to have the courage to step up to these guys and say, "No, we're not doing it. Period. End of story. Full freaking stop."
I mean, how many times we've heard Vince McMahon literally get knocked out by his talent because he either told him no or he screwed him over on certain things. Obviously, the most infamous screw job is
Yeah.
the screw job in Montreal. But nevertheless, Vince McMahon was the one that said no, or
Yeah.
you know, in a nice professional way, if you. I'm Vince McMahon, and we're doing it my way.
Or maybe in a not so nice professional way sometimes.
Yeah, like you're fired.
But point taken. Yeah.
So
But yeah, point completely taken. And yeah, I hope they learn their lesson because I do think that WWE needs a second, needs competition. They were at their best when WCW was kicking their butts.
I'm glad you brought up AEW one for our way out of this episode, because before we get off, I would definitely like to talk to you about when in the history, or just like our history, being on this earth or watching wrestling, have you heard of a cease and desist?
That story is so weird. If you're not familiar with this, Andrade, who got released from WWE just a few weeks ago, showed up on AEW, but then they hit him with a 1 year cease and desist. And the stories, the ridiculous, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? Conspiracies that I'm hearing about that. I mean, he clearly broke a non-compete. Now, the non-compete usually is 3 months, 90 days,
No,
but they're doing it for 1 year. Now, I don't know if it's just because Andrade pissed off WWE that bad, or if there's something that is getting changed in their standard contracts. Because in the meantime, I don't get that one bit. I mean, I've heard it's almost as ridiculous as, they put that cease and desist in there because they want to have leverage to be able to bring Edge over to WWE to give him, to work in with John Cena for his last match, which we know ain't going to happen.
right. I I would love for that to be the case, but even outside of that, everybody knows. I mean, it's public records now that if you get released, whether you wanted the release or they released you, like you have 90 days where you do not show up on any promotion until those 90 days are up. Granted, TKO has probably put their stamp on it and, added some more parameters around the contracts of that. But I mean, before TKO was even involved, I mean, Vince McMahon was releasing superstars left and right, and we didn't see them until like the 90 days was up, and then when they pop up, they would either have you know if they had the money to like have their name like the one they made money off of, or just change their name to whatever. They never showed up 90 within those 90 days, so we didn't see them until like hey, you remember when such and such got released, and then boom, he shows up, whatever. But it's weird. It's just weird. And I mean,
Yeah.
Andrade's been weird since he got back to WWE. So like, it's like we see him. He does a couple of shows on SmackDown. We have the whole thing about him and Charlotte getting a divorce. You know, we get Charlotte being open and honest about what's been going on with her life with that, and then he is just like not seen for a while on shows. And then we hear the crazy stories of him just like he's supposed to be doing something with Ray Phoenix, and he just like bumped that. I'm not doing it. and then they finally grant him his release just for you to turn and get released, and then within the week of you getting released, you show up on AEW without even not even waiting a month. So, what did I said this to you one episode. I said Andrade gives me the Alberto vibes.
Facts. Yep.
Like at this point, he's Alberto Del Rio version 2.
How
That's what
many
it seems
times
like.
is that? Yeah, how many times has that Joker gotten released and resigned?
A bunch. And I
Yeah.
mean, how many controversies he's been involved in. So,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
I
I
just
the you know
glad we got to get that off our chest about that, because that
yeah
is weird.
that's
Weird.
very weird. That's very weird. Well, another great episode, my friend. You want to roll again next week?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, let's rock it. Well, you've been listening to the Wrasslin Roundtable podcast, a presentation of Royal Hearts Media. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or leave a comment on our videos, share our videos, leave a review. We'd love to hear from you. And we're still going to be giving away that t-shirt, so be on the watch out for that. Until next week, for Dom, I'm Ryan. You've been listening to the Wrasslin Roundtable podcast. Take care.
Good night.